Hey, this is the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence, the king of podcasts radio network proudly presents the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Another watershed moment in the history of WWE. Tonight on the Wrestling is Real podcast, we're talking about the deal for $5 billion that Monday Night Raw will be moving to Netflix January 1, 2025. If you would have told me about, on the onset of the 10th anniversary of the WWE Network, remember when we had that? Which I love that app. I thought they did a great job with that service 10 years ago. It was so good. I mean, they had a little bit of bugs and all for the pay-per-views, but seriously, what a well-run app. And then they decided, we had changes that were going on. No more proprietary app. No more running or managing the app. We're going to let somebody else stream for us. That's when Nick Khan came into the picture. But it all makes sense. Okay, at that time, if it's not broken, why fix it with the WWE Network? Then they moved it to Peacock. You know what? For Peacock, I haven't really cared much about the change since they made it. When they did it, fine. Right? 2021, they made that change. Haven't had any qualms about that for 3 years since they did it. None at all. Well, that was for the library, right? But now, here we are. The broadcast changes have all been made. This company's now will be making, as of 2025, $1 billion a year on broadcasting per year. One more time, $1 billion. This is the epitome of what Vince McMahon was hoping. This is his vision, to make WWE's broadcast rights as prominent as any other sports league out there in the world. Like, if I had to go and look at the sports broadcasting rights now for all the other organizations, it's incredible. It's mind-boggling how much there is. So when we look at what there are right now of the broadcasting contracts, currently, the United States has 6 of the biggest professional sports leagues out there. So here's what we got so far in the current state. The NFL has the largest contract at $6 billion annually. And they have contracts with Fox, CBS, NBC, ESPN, Amazon Prime, and others. That was what they had at that time. And of course, it changed. But this is just what we're looking at right now. NBC, Olympic Games, $7.75 billion contract. Major League Baseball. This is up until the 2021 season, was $1.5 billion annually. NBA, it's $2.66 billion. And $625 billion for the NHL. So, World Wrestling Entertainment now makes more money than the NHL. It's starting to get up there with Major League Baseball. So $500 million a year from Netflix. What is it? $260 or some odd from NBC Universal, and another $200 million from the CW. I mean, that's mind-boggling, but they did it. And I don't even know what the UFC's amount. As a matter of fact, I don't even know what the UFC is. But for what it's worth, it's mind-boggling how many different sports are out there and what's being done. But there you go. We got it. It's one of the biggest contracts in sports of all. And it's not even sports. So here's what we got so far. Again, this deal also covers a number of continents as well, as opposed to the normal North American deal that would probably make, where Canada has to be brought into the mix and others. Netflix covers a lot of ground. That's now going to be the United States, Canada, Latin America, and the UK. All those are going to get the show. If you have a Netflix subscription, you're in. But we'll talk about the subscription in a moment. But now, is this right? Hold on. Is this correct? So Netflix will also be the home of SmackDown, NXT, outside the U.S. So, and Netflix will carry SmackDown, NXT, the live events for WWE, which is shows like WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and SummerSlam. Okay. So again, Netflix only covers for just Monday Night Raw. That's it. Just the flagship series. But that's the other part of the deal, is that now Sky TV's out of the picture. Whatever other sources that are out there to carry, it's going to be live broadcast for Canada, Latin America, and the UK. And outside the US, those shows, SmackDown, NXT, and the premium live events will be carried by Netflix. But in America, NXT will be on the CW, and SmackDown will be on USA. Who would have thought that was all going to come together? Now, for everybody who thought that was going to be on Warner Brothers Discovery, no. And I told you that. I told you. It was not going to be that case. Why even go ahead and go there? You want to just go ahead and see AEW go fall down. Meanwhile, I say again, why do we want to see the tribalism, the WWE fans constantly, and the WWE in general? Why do they keep punching down? Okay. WWE is the winner. Okay. They are the top dog. They got Netflix. They got this deal. A monster deal. A groundbreaking deal. Because at the same time, Monday Night Raw now goes away from cable for good. It's gone from cable. Now, it was one thing where NXT was on streaming on the WWE Network initially, and they got moved to USA. Somehow, some way, NXT as a property was able to get themselves onto network TV again. That's the other part. With everything that happens here, the deals that have been made, Nick Khan, Ari Emanuel, TKO Group Holdings, they successfully now still have presence on network television, cable television, and streaming. They have 3 different shows distinct they're going to have on all those different platforms. Very unique territory to be in. And then you think about the fact that, they'll have the premium live events still on Peacock. The one thing I guess that really comes to mind is when they're also deciding to go and put this in, this news went rampant, by the way. The advertising. That's the part I'm just trying to figure out. If Raw is going to move to Netflix, the draw is going to be to drop a significant amount of the advertising. They do not need to run 12 breaks in a 3-hour show. Or if they're going to do a 2-hour show. What I think would be the best scenario for them is they don't have to stick to, a particular format of how many hours they're going to run the show. It's not going to be repurposed anywhere else. Again, unless it's being produced for other markets that need to have the show in a 2-hour format, a 3-hour format, whatever it is. I don't know if they keep it in a 2 or 3 hour format. But, if you're talking about all these areas, they might have it where, for the international rights for other markets outside of the UK, Latin America, or, Canada, they might run it differently. But I would think the best case scenario for Monday Night Raw is that they give it a 2-hour show with an overrun. So, yeah, it's going to go past 2 hours, and then you finish it off when you finish it off. But then you remove the ads that have been stuck in place for all this time. Let's just get them out. Run it like you do a premium live event. Like you want to have your ads in there. Okay, put them in there as needed. Put them in as your own promotional ads. If you want to have some other advertisers within, then embed it into the programming. But let's not go and take a commercial break and go, wait a break. Let's keep the brakes off of there. Now, of course, Netflix, if they're doing their ad-supported platform, they're going to want to keep ads on it. So that's the other part I would think they want to go and keep as well. Probably. Most likely. Now, Nick Khan has talked extensively about this. He went on the Pat McAfee show and addressed the future of Monday Night Raw staying on Monday nights. But at the moment, Monday Night Raw is staying on Monday nights for now. But that's, again, that we don't know about anything about what's going up when it gets to Netflix. That means just the show's going to stay on Monday night for as long as it's staying on cable. Like, it's not going anywhere. It's not changing any slots right now on USA Network until the duration. And when the change is made, then SmackDown moves over, takes Friday nights, and USA gets their own show on Friday night once again. They'll continue the legacy. So WWE is not losing USA Network altogether. But for USA, they're not going to have to program Monday nights with something else. Without that constant reminder that they always have their show and always a consistent 2 or 3 hour format that they already have that they can go and run their show on a regular basis. I'll think about it like this. That Raw has been on USA Network since 2005. October 3rd, 2005, it stayed. And before that, it was on USA Network as Monday Night Raw, the show itself. It was January 11th, 1993. So again, 12 years and then another almost 20 years doing the shows they're doing right now. It's a long time to be familiar with one place and to make the move of this program over to another format. The other thing is the content going to change? Like, are we going to go ahead and have more adult-themed content? I mean, Netflix, they're more than happy to. They're not adhering to SEC regulations. They don't have to. This show doesn't have to, especially when it's live. It's internet. It doesn't matter. So the show can completely have a real change culturally, a real change in formatics. Like, a lot of things could change on it. The most logical changes would be streamline your ads on Raw. Streamline them down a lot. We do not need 30 some odd minutes of ads in a 3 hour show anymore. That's gone. No more 12, 14 blocks. None of that. What you do now is you run them like you do paper. So you can almost run them like they're like pay-per-views. Like, you can run it in that full, almost commercial brief format. You know, with occasional commercials here and there. But you don't run a full break. You don't need to run breaks now during matches. That's gone. That's good. That actually benefits. And so when they have that also the part, and they can also go ahead and, no censoring, no standards and practices, all that's gone. If they want, they can do whatever they want. But in the meantime, they're still broadcasting from 208 different arenas, 171 different cities and towns. Like, they've done a lot of nations. And they're broadcast all over the world. Like, they'll still have their broadcast deals in other places. Maybe they still run a regular traditional format, commercials and all. But that would be the one thing I would want them to do. I would want them not to go that route. Maybe there's something else they can do that's another route to go with. So Nick Khan makes the point that it's going to remain Monday Night Raw, but we got 10 and a half months until this deal is up and running. So you're looking at what we're looking at, everybody else is looking at. You have a proliferation of gambling with Monday Night Football. You have an advanced Disney package, better games, all credit to Jimmy Pitaro and the Bob Father, as you and I call him, Pat, Bob Iger, and all the other good folks at Disney. You got the Manning cast. Okay, he's really promoting all the fact that ESPN and what they have for Pat McAfee's program where he's airing a show on, they have a lot of things that really are the stickler against Monday nights, including the national championship game and the college football playoffs that run on Mondays, or whatever day it is if it does run on Mondays.
Big move to Netflix. Congrats again. Is it Raw still going to be on Mondays? Is it going to be Monday Night Raw as we've known it, or is it going to be different days? What was that conversation like? And looking forward to this answer.
Yeah, we all are.
At this moment in time, it remains Monday Night Raw. But keep in mind, we got 10 and a half months until this deal's up and running. So we're looking at what you're looking at and what everyone else is looking at. You have the proliferation of gambling with Monday Night Football.
I want to move on now to where Nick Khan spoke with Bloomberg and what the Netflix deal is going to hold.
Look, you've seen what Amazon's been able to do on their ad-supported tier. Netflix is going to have great success in that space. WWE, again, 3 hours a week on Raw every week allows Netflix to monetize this deal in the advertising space in a way that has not been seen before.
Hey, Nick, Raw has this kind of super loyal and sizable audience, but there must be a part of this deal where you're like, okay, we need to think about the future and growing a new audience. And I wondered if there's any terms in the deal when Netflix goes away and produces a behind-the-scenes kind of documentary exclusive to Netflix that introduces WWE to that new audience. Think about, like, what am I thinking of? Drive to Survive and Formula One and the success that had bringing a sport to a new audience.
It would be a mistake by us at WWE to not do that with Netflix. So assume that what you said is exactly what we're all thinking, we being Netflix and WWE. You saw what Drive to Survive did for Formula One, as you just mentioned. We think the WWE audience, already big on a global level, only gets bigger with a show like that.
All right, now there's a couple things to unpack from there. So number one, Nick Khan is encouraging Netflix to use Monday Night Raw for advertising. They want to use it as an ad model and see what they can get out of it from live sports programming. Meanwhile, sports programming for Netflix, this is about as sports as they're going to go. There's been a lot of questions that have been asked, and there have been a lot of reports on this so far. The Ringer's actually asked a lot of questions so far. When the announcement was made, TKO Group Holdings actually rose their stock from 18.1% to $91.40 a share. So there you go. Now, here's what we got as well. Monday Night Raw is supposed to be airing on the USA Network until October 2024. But the last 3 months of the year, we don't see if Monday Night Raw stays around. If there's just a 3-month extension to take them up to 2025. I mean, I guess USA, after all this time, could have definitely going to make that extension to do that. I don't know yet, but that's one of the things that you haven't figured out yet. Now, as for Peacock, at the moment, they're the ones that are holding the premium live events. Imagine if Netflix decided to go ahead and take those as well into the deal they have. So the Peacock deal right now currently is running until 2026. So remember, we're only getting Monday Night Raw over there. The library is not moving there yet. For anybody who was thinking about that, the library, the live events, the premium live events are still on Peacock. So I can very well see a lot of people sticking to Peacock for the $4.99 or $9.99 deal that they have and getting what they're getting off of Peacock as it is, watching SmackDown on USA, and okay, USA Network, well, we're only going to get SmackDown there, and Netflix gets Raw. Hey, we might just miss Raw. Because you might have that happen. Like the U.S. audience, to get them to go and watch Netflix, we're assuming that everybody is watching Netflix and everybody has it in their homes. But see, what we don't take into account is that there are people that are Netflix subscribers currently, but we know there are a lot of Netflix subscribers that have been dropping off, because if you haven't noticed, they've had issues when it comes to subscriber count and trying to keep people on because of their issues that have been going on with their content and what they're going to do. Currently, they have 260.8 million subscribers at the moment paid. That's where they currently are. According to their fourth quarter information, their earnings, they now have 13 million new global fourth quarter subscribers and wrapping its best ever holiday season results. They also got to announce in their fourth quarter earnings the $5 billion deal with the WWE to move Raw. Let's just make it clear. WWE got the best of this deal so far. I guarantee 5 years, okay, is spent for 10, but the option is to expand to 10. And if Netflix wants to go another 10, they can. Subscribers at the end of 2023, an annual increase of nearly 30 million subscribers. A bigger increase, especially more than triple than they did in 2022. So there was a question about Netflix if they were struggling to keep subscribers. Well, because in 2022, they were losing subscribers. They were losing out to the massive streaming battle that was going on with all these different streamers that were going on. Peacock, Paramount Plus, Discovery Plus, Max, all, launching within a couple of months or years of each other. So what happened is that Netflix bounced back with a low price streaming plan, injecting commercials into it for the first time, and also trying to block viewers who have been accessing the service for free using passwords of paying customers. So now, so far, they were able to take care of that with the ad-supported plan, and that also gave a lot of profits to Netflix. And they got net income up $55 million, up $13 billion to the previous year in terms of how much they make. Now, one of the deals that the Associated Press is reporting about is that Netflix now needs to come up with ways to sustain their momentum and continue to build subscribers, because for them, this deal is meant to bring more subscribers to the platform. Remember, you're going to assume that there a lot of people that are at 260 already have Netflix. I get that part. I did. And then we didn't. Because when they start rising the price so much, you start asking yourself, am I going to watch a bunch of mid-programming on Netflix? Is that enough for me to go ahead and say, all right, I'm going to go ahead and move on to somewhere else? And say, you know what, this is not working for me. It's just too much. So Netflix says that if they can continue to execute well and drive continuous improvement with a better slate, easier discovery, and more fandom, while establishing ourselves in new areas like advertising and games, we might have a lot more room to grow. So Netflix is banking on trying to go ahead and build more on what they're doing. So at the moment, they have a $7 per month price plan for commercials. And right now, that accounts for 40% of their new subscribers in markets where it's available. Now, that's the other part I got. Like, the thing is, for me, I could go ahead and just get the Netflix plan, $7 a month, and buy it. But again, this is for Monday Night Raw. I need to see what Monday Night Raw is going to turn into. We can't just have the same show we have right now and expect people to just watch it, and that's enough to pay a price for it. And for those that were out there that made the point when I put a TikTok video out to announce the decision, some people said, well, you already paid for USA Network, but we don't see the price like that. It goes into the cable package. We're paying for cable. And sure, we might be paying $7 a month for the USA Network to go and watch their programming, right? But you don't see that outright. We're not paying it as a subscription like we do now, where we see it every month in our bills. Because the cable bill doesn't show you the breakdown of what channels you're actually paying for the most or what you're paying for exactly. The other thing is that, how much live programming have they had? Is Netflix a place where people are going to go ahead and watch live programming? Now, the discovery on Monday nights for those watching Netflix to see this, how many are going to start becoming fans and watching the programming? Like, they have a 260 million subscriber count. And I'm sure there are a number of people that are not wrestling fans that might just look at the show and say, hey, we'll take a look at it. So the chance for new audiences, yeah, you're going to get some of that. And for those that are watching, it might be a much younger audience that will watch it and will make certain things go viral, right? Just like they make Netflix or Stranger Things or whatever else, they can make it viral, make it something that's popular. That helps WWE in the long run. There's so much is being written about it. So much being written about it. So he said, there's a $7 monthly price right now for the ad-supported list, which can change. But is that changed right now? I mean, what's the price right now in the moment? I don't even know. But originally it was $7 a month. Now it must be higher. Let me look at the prices right now, because I want to see what the pricing is right now currently, because there's going to be a price increase in 2024 as well. Bet you people didn't know about that. There are going to be more price hikes going on as well. And one of the things we're talking about is the cheapest ad-free plan will go away after the latest prices increases. So this is coming up from 9 to 5 Mac. They make the point that, well, as of October, they moved their premium subscription to $23. The Verge reports that Netflix will also phase out their basic ad-free plan, which starts at $11.99. So here's what we got. There will be 3 price points. You can pay for ads, okay, at $6.99 a month for Netflix. The standard HD service to watch is $15.49 in the US. And then $22.99 for premium 4K in the US. Now, one of the other things that happened as well, along with the announcement of the Netflix deal, is that Dwayne, now owning the rights to his trademark nicknamed The Rock, he now has the ownership back. He's now part of the board of directors. He will be joining the TKO Group Holdings board. Now, as for Netflix, the report is that they're not going to be changing the way they're doing sports at all. Like, this will be the only exclusive live sports they're going to have, period, for the most part. Ted Sarandos, the co-CEO of Netflix, says that the WWE Raw is sports entertainment, which is right in the sweet spot of our sports business, which is the drama of sports. In terms of the deal itself, it has options and the protections we seek in our general licensing deals. I would not look at this as a signal of any other change or any change to our sports strategy. Now, they have been doing docuseries. They did Formula One Drive to Survive, which you heard Nick Khan mention, and the Bloomberg people talk about. They have done some sporting events in the past. There was the first ever Netflix Cup, a celebrity golf tournament featuring athletes, and the Formula One Drive to Survive in full swing. Events were streamed live from Las Vegas. And Sarandos also mentioned that Netflix could eventually move to live sports as it scales and free cash flow generation has the ability to invest in major sports rights around the world. And that's what Morgan Stanley said in a report published last June. And also their advertising capabilities scale, we think live sports will fit well into their content offering. So the live sports will allow them to have advertising. I still think, okay, advertising will still be a part of it. There's no doubt about that, but you can still scale it down from what USA Network used to give us. That can absolutely be done right now as well. Netflix shares are up $36. By the way, $528.40 some odd, and that's from extended hours as we look at this, because the fourth quarter was really good for them. But WWE programming right now is scattered more than ever. So you still have the premium live events, and you get that set on Peacock. And now SmackDown will be moving to NBC Universal, so that'll be what they're going to do with Peacock as well. Now, Peacock originally did consider putting everything on their channel, including The Bump. WWE has 99 million subscribers on YouTube at the moment, and The Bump airs there and on Peacock, and also the premium live event press conferences. So the idea would be that January 2025, if you want to watch Raw, you have to go ahead and order Netflix. So one of the questions the Ringer asks is, Raw was added a third hour because of the advertising component for USA Network. Will Raw on Netflix need a third hour? It depends on what the third hour will be used for, or more importantly, how it's being looked down. If the only reason they add an hour was to increase their ad revenue on a linear network, it's no longer necessary. Netflix has been historically driven by its algorithms, and it'll take a data-driven approach to determine Raw's ideal length. And would Netflix force the company to tighten up the running time if the algorithm says a 2-hour Raw is preferred? Netflix has been known to give creators freedom, but as long as they deliver eyeballs. But one of the things that has to happen for Peacock is that they might lose WWE in 2026. Because right now there might be a lot of people that watch for WWE alone, like myself. Like, we don't watch shows like Bel Air or Twisted Metal. And even though Peacock might have the English Premier League, they might have some NFL games they've been able to broadcast this year. They've been at the bottom of the streaming wars since it launched in August 2022. So Peacock would be in great need of help, which probably would mean it would probably have to merge with somebody else as a result. Because either Peacock has to try to keep the premium live events on their streamer exclusively, or start investing in their other top tier streaming content. So there's a report that says that, WWE was making what was being said was $200 million to $250 million a year from the Peacock deal. But we know there's much more money that's being put out there. Like, for instance, right now, the NBA is getting $24 million among Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery to air games across their channels. And they're looking to go ahead and double that. Wow, that's crazy. But that's something that can very well happen, what they can actually do. Overall, WWE got a great deal off of this. But what we haven't talked about, besides all the goodness of the deal and what it entails and what they're going to get for it, we haven't talked to think about the content. Because that is the part that people have to go and consider. That nobody wants to go and think about. Right? Think about it. There's a lot there that we have to go and consider. And say to ourselves, okay, if the case becomes you get the show on Netflix, is the current content, the current live product, is it enough to keep people interested and engaged all the way across, right? I mean, are they going to still be engaged? Because now Raw has to be built at a premium. Okay. SmackDown, you can get away with all the, kind of putting the program like you always do. Premium live events, you have to put some more time into it. NXT, you can do what you're doing with the program right now. Think about it. SmackDown and NXT can be run like they normally are. On USA and CW respectively, they could just run the shows humdrum, just like it is. But for Raw to be on this on this platform, they have to make it a level that's similar to what the pay-per-views are. Because you're getting this platform is charging a premium for your US subscribers to watch this show. More than you're getting them to pay for the premium live events. Because let me tell you, there are going to be a handful of people that will say, oh, well, you know what? Yeah, I might be paying $22.99 a month, but I'm watching it for Raw. But I'm also only paying $5 or $10 a month for the pay-per-views. I mean, you can't go backwards like you did, back in the 90s and early 2000s where people used to pay $55 or $65 for a pay-per-view. You're not going to go back there again. But also, that's a big price increase for some of these people. We were used to $9.99 for a good 7-8 years. Then they switched and they brought the price down in half, and they brought it up a little bit. So now what? The wrestling audience is finicky. They are cheap. Let's just say it as it is. It's just the way it is. What are you going to do to go and get that audience in here and get them engaged to go ahead and say, okay, we're not talking about the ones that already have Netflix. We're talking about a new audience. Because Netflix should be expecting to get themselves to get more than enough out of this. They should be expecting to get quite a bit from the subscriber count. Like it should actually add in January 2025 as a result of all this. What's going to happen? And that's the question you got to ask yourself. What are they going to do to build that audience? Like, you're going to make them You have to basically think about the fact that you're making them pay. You're making them pay $23 for your content, for your 2 or 3 hour show every Monday night. You're asking them to pay. Now you're getting, 4 shows a month, right? Getting 12 hours of content. And you're making them pay $23 a month. Okay. My movie subscription is less than that. And I do watch 8 to 10 to 12 hours of movies every month. Okay, that's my quote on that. But again, these are like large budget, big blockbuster movies. Raw is a show that does, put it a pretty premium, right? They do put a lot of money into it. But am I getting the same kind of quality entertainment for that dollar? Now, of course, there are going to be those who are going to be like, well, we already have Netflix. It complements what we're doing. We're just lucky to go and have it. Well, it would have been the same thing for me if this show would have been on Amazon Prime. Because Amazon Prime I already pay for. That's my choice. And actually, I watch more Amazon Prime than I did Netflix. When I think about it, I watch a lot of Amazon Prime. And there's not that much I watch on Netflix on a regular basis that really catches my attention. I did when there were a lot of shows that they were producing on their own, and not so much they were trying to outsource. But they're not doing so much of their own content. Amazon does. Apple TV Plus does. Right? Paramount Plus, Peacock, they do. No, so sometimes I see Netflix have programming and movies. Like the movies are subpar a lot of times. There are not a lot of movies I see that are coming up from them that are really stand out. Like Kevin Hart has a new movie coming out. Adam Sandler always has regular movies coming out. I'm not interested in those. And I'm not paying $23 to watch those. The last movie with Gal Gadot was really bad. Now, okay, of the current things that I see promoted on Netflix right now, Griselda Blanco, right? Griselda, Sofia Vergara, that movie. Yeah, I'm going to probably watch that. I'll find a way to watch it anyway. That looks good. Looks real good. But that doesn't change anything about the fact that, okay, you might have fans that are already Netflix subscribers. Like, what would be a good idea for the company is to find out, like for Netflix, they need to go ahead and do a survey for their subscribers and find out how many of their subscribers, find an estimate of how many of them watch WWE programming, which you're going to find that out. We're going to have a survey about that soon. And I'll imagine Netflix will go and tell you, okay, here's how many of the 260 million subscribers we have that watch WWE programming, that would be, elated to have Monday Night Raw on their Netflix lineup, right? The other thing you got to think about too is that will there be a need for that content to be live? Okay, NXT will be live. SmackDown will be live. Still, Netflix, they'll probably have it live, but your Netflix audience, they're used to, going back and watching it on demand. And unlike when you have the show on USA or NBC Universal, then you have to go and watch it on Hulu like the next day. You had certain things where you didn't go and watch the show on Peacock on a regular basis, right? Like, I mean, if I think about it right now, if I'm looking for Peacock TV right now and I look for WWE programming, we'll look for Monday Night Raw as we speak right now, right? Let me figure this out. Now, you can watch NXT, right? You can watch NXT on their platform. And I don't know if it's something where they watch. No, its new episodes are Wednesdays. So here you go. You have to watch it next day. So NXT is available, but you got to watch next day to watch it. Okay. They do take commercials out for you, it looks like, which is nice. But there are probably commercials in it if you're buying the ad-supported model from Peacock, right? Again, they run the bump. Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw has a playlist. They have a playlist of Monday Night Raw. So check this out. The latest Raw episodes okay, of their current list, currently, you can watch up to the end of 2023 and watch all the previous years before that. That you can do. But they don't show new programming, right? You can't find that there. But this will be allowed on Netflix. So when they do that, what happens next? What do you find out next as a result? There will be an audience that will probably not be watching so much as they normally did. They probably will not be caught up in, what they're doing. And the bottom line is that Netflix will change the viewing habits of those watching Monday Night Raw. We know that. Pretty aware. But what do you do next? And that's the part I think people don't really look at yet and what's going to be happening with this. Actually, I meant to say the NXT deal is actually more about $20 to $25 million a year for 5 years. So it's a lot less than that, but it's still good to put it on TV. I thought it was more than that. I don't know why I thought that, but okay. Still, they're making more, or at least as much as the NHL. So if I got that wrong, I'm correcting it right now, okay? He spoke with Mark Shapiro, President and COO of TKO, and they made the point that the deal was months in the making, and that Netflix did have the vision to see what WWE could bring to Netflix's global platform. Long-term licensing was attractive to both buyer and seller for strategic reasons. Also, a complex transaction worked out in a secret. We rarely can remember a time where a deal was truly a win-win for both sides. A universally attractive platform meets a universally attractive property. Both have significant and loyal followings, and the price and the many parts of the deal were right for both parties. Now, what's interesting as well in all this Mark Shapiro tried to make some points where history comes around and talks about all this. Quote, when you look back on the chapters of sports media history, new chapters are driven by extraordinary new paradigms. ESPN and Turner bringing the NFL to cable to 1987. Rupert Murdoch bringing Fox NFL football to Fox in 1994. When new histories are written, Raw and Netflix will be a chapter starter. And in the meantime, Nick Khan has also made a point that the contract right now with Peacock since 2021 is now way undervalued. So he's talking about this. He spoke, and just remember, we went back a while back. This is the Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference. So back then, he made the point that, when we did it, we were thrilled, and when we happened, we were still thrilled with the partnership. But if you look at the dollars, Wall Street announced over $1 billion over the life of the deal. It's way undervalued at this time. We have a contract. We'll see what happens. So they're going to continue to look at that. And Peacock might find themselves out of having Monday Night Raw, not just Monday Night Raw, but more product after that. They could lose a library as a result. Now, what does it mean for the rest of the other products out there for the rest of the wrestling community? When you think about, okay, there are some changes that can happen as a result more of anything else. While Netflix now has their flagship show, you have the USA Network, CW Network deals in place. You have the documentary deal that AEW has right now in place. And there was a concern about AEW's future with the broadcast partner because the WWE did have 2 meetings with Warner Brothers Discovery, potentially airing on Raw. Raw on either TNT or TBS. Andrew Zarian of the Batman podcast actually has reported that the source has mentioned to him that it's possible that AEW could become a cable streaming hybrid show. much like the NBA simulcasts on TNT and Max. So Dynamite could air on Max and TNBS at the same time, but they're talking about there might be a chance for that to be happening at some point down the line. A couple of things we're going to make a point about right now at the moment. Kevin Patrick is no longer on the commentary team for SmackDown. That was announced. Dave Meltzer, Wrestling Observer Radio, has reported that the commentary team will be undergoing a change. Kevin Patrick will be removed from his role. No replacement has been made yet. So we don't know who's going to be brought in as a result of this. All I can tell you is that, Kevin Patrick goes by the way of Jimmy Smith, goes by the way of other announcers that I don't think just panned out. And look, with Kevin Patrick, I think they just had him in the role. I guess he was fine when they had him in his role for backstage interviews and they had him for, doing the pregame content. But now Kayla Braxton's taking over all that. And, Kevin Patrick, I think, just doesn't fit the current model of what they have. So he might be out for all we know. I don't know where he lands. But yeah, that's all going to go away from there. Now, as I wrap things up for the program, we haven't even talked about Royal Rumble yet. No time to talk about it. We just haven't really brought it up. But yeah, Royal Rumble is this weekend, this Saturday. I have not brought up one thing about it because this story is so big. But there's always times where this show's coming around, the Royal Rumble, and some big announcement happens as a result of it. It just happens like that. So, Tropicana Field, St. Petersburg, Florida. That's coming up this weekend. So far, we know we'll have the men's and women's Royal Rumble matches. I will say that CM Punk and Cody going after each other did a very good job in their promo to go and get after each other. CM Punk feels more like he's American Dream, and Cody Rhodes feels more like CM Punk. I actually really like the promo what they put out there for that. We only know a number of names that have already made to be participants in the Royal Rumble, so I'm not going to try to speculate who's going to win. If I'm going to, I will just say then, I'll take CM Punk to win. I don't think it'll be Cody again. I think CM Punk wins the damn Royal Rumble match. And as for the Royal Rumble for the women, I'll say it's Becky Lynch. No real, conviction behind either. I'm just going to pick them just to pick them. As for the U.S. Championship, I think Logan Paul beats Kevin Owens. We have the undisputed WWE Universal Championship Fatal 4-Way match. Roman Reigns will beat Randy Orton, AJ Styles, LA Knight. I see that. I don't know what to think about it. We're just going to go ahead and get into it and see what happens on Saturday. I really don't have any expectations at all. They've put things out there so far when it comes to, teasing who will go after who at the Rumble, at the match, but that's all I'm really going to take from there. Not much else. We'll just take what they give us at the Rumble and see what they come for that, which is the real start of where things start with the WrestleMania season, which is where we're really going to be coming up to and watching at right now and seeing where they're going to go with it. That's the more important thing to go and look at. But can I give you a little tip off as to what I was going to talk about in the first place? What I actually was going to talk about, if not for this deal. And I think at some point I'll have to go and revisit this anyway. But it is where Triple H and the effort he has to try to make to try to build and resurrect stars that were thrown away by Vince into the recycle bin. And the stretches he has to do to get these stars back to where they're supposed to be. We see what they've done with Karrion Kross. Now they brought back Authors of Pain and Paul Ellering. Now he has a stable to try to build him up to become that top star again. And there's Dijakovic, the former Donovan Dijak, who was such a top prospect in Ring of Honor, the Sinclair days. And then they ran this on NXT Tuesday night. I'm just going to play this just so you can get it for yourself. Just hear this for yourself.
Crazy is 7 years in this company and never getting a real opportunity. Crazy is inexplicably getting renamed and getting a mask thrown on you. Crazy is every single flash in the pan lapping you endlessly year after year. I should be the NXT champion. I should be the NXT champion because I'm the best wrestler in the world, and I'm done pretending that that's not the truth.
So that's something they're going to try to do to try to build up Dijakovic to be moving up to the NXT title. And then what, another run to the main roster? I mean, there's things that are done here and certain stars that are brought up that Triple H probably had a lot of capital behind because they're guys he brought in. I mentioned Dijakovic was one of those guys he brought in himself. And then we look at this and I'm like, that's the part I wanted to go and talk about if we didn't have the Netflix deal come out. I was going to talk about this recovery job, this rehabilitation to try to build these stars that were so tarnished. First of all, because they didn't have, the staying power to survive Vince's onslaught. Do you understand that? Like, that's so many others that could not reach the barrier, that cannot surpass. But yet we have stars right now that, when they got the rub from Vince, they did very well. And you can still see it today. But there are a number of stars that are under Triple H's run and they don't make it to the level. And sure, they haven't had the time to be out there as much as the stars we see now that are at the very top. Like when you think of the exposure of all the major stars we've seen for a long time in WWE that, are the major stars, yeah, they take 5, 7, 10 years to get themselves to where they are. Whatever level they're at. Of familiarity. It takes a long time for them. You can't build a star overnight. But the problem is they need to do that. They got to have some stars that are overnight sensations. But they don't. That's one of those things I look at and I say to myself, man, a lot of struggle they're going through here to try to figure it out. But maybe they will eventually. We'll figure it out and see what they do. I will do a post show for Royal Rumble this Saturday night right here at kickoffpodcasts.com. So make sure to go ahead and look for that. I'll do that for all of you. And we'll take it from there and see what they do and how they do with the show. I'm curious to see how it turns out. Anyway, Netflix 2025. We got a lot of time to figure out what's going to go on with that. The Royal Rumble is this Saturday. Enjoy it. Come back to the Wrestling Show podcast because wrestling needs us.